Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. Judge dismisses lawmakers' challenge to Sununu's authority to spend COVID-19 relief funds. Decision allows governor to bypass legislative committee approval in deciding how 1B in federal funds are spent. Governor Chris Sununu was given the go-ahead by a judge Wednesday to oversee and authorize the spending of more than $1 billion in federal COVID-19 relief funds without the approval of a key legislative committee. Supreme Court Judge David Anderson, in a 16-page ruling, found that 4 top Democrat lawmakers who sued to block Sununu from acting unilaterally and to force him to seek approval of the Legislative Fiscal Committee lacked standing to seek an injunction to stop him. Anderson, a 2013 judicial nominee of then-Governor Maggie Hassan, granted the governor's motion to dismiss the suit. The case has become a focal point of a weighty separation of powers dispute between the executive branch and the legislative branch, as well as a political standoff between the Republican chief executive and the leaders of the Democratic majority in the legislature. Sununu, on April 7th, established a unit in his office to collect information on the economic and social efforts of the coronavirus outbreaks and to decide on how best to use the huge windfall of federal CARES Act dollars to alleviate wide-ranging problems facing businesses, hospitals, and families, as well as local and county governments as a result of the pandemic. He also created a legislative advisory board in conjunction with the new Governor's Office of Economic Relief and Recovery, with 8 top lawmakers, 4 of whom are the same legislator who sued him. But he made it clear that while he intends to include the legislators in the advisory role, he believes that in an emergency of such portions, he is empowered by state law to have the final word on how to direct the expenditures without approval of a fiscal committee. The legislators sued in Hillsborough County Superior Court in Manchester as individual taxpayers and in their capacity as members of the legislature. After a 2-hour hearing Monday, the judge ruled Wednesday afternoon that they failed to prove that they would suffer irreparable harm as taxpayers if Sununu authorized how the money is spent without seeking fiscal committee approval. The judge found that while the legislators might prevail in a full-flagged trial on the overriding dispute, the bar is higher to win an injunction and the lawmakers failed to reach it. Sununu, represented by the Attorney General's office, argued that a 2002 state law passed in the aftermath of 9/11 attacks cleared him to bypass the lawmakers in the interest of quickly delivering the important funds to the key segment of the state devastated by the fallout of the pandemic. But attorneys for the legislator cited other laws they said take precedence in the expenditure of state funds. The court finds plaintiffs' status as members or leaders of the legislature does not impart them without standing, he wrote. Rather, they must allege a concurrent personal injury. The court finds that the individual plaintiffs' lawmakers lack standing to bring this suit, even if brought in their personal capacity as members of the legislature. In another pivotal passage, Anderson invoked the special circumstances of a global pandemic. The court concludes that the public interest would not favor the issuance of a preliminary injunction, although plaintiffs are all members of the legislature for purpose of taxpayer standing. They are no different than any tax-paying resident of New Hampshire. Being mindful of the extraordinary nature of the preliminary injunction relief, even if in ordinance case, the court must be cautious in generating a request from any individual or group of individuals to stop the governor from acting, as it presents in scenario riff, with complications that directly impact the ordinary options of the government. To go even further and allow an individual state taxpayer to stop or even delay the governor from distributing purportedly federal funds intended for the benefit of the public in the mindset of a global pandemic would be contrary to the public interest. Anderson found that the legislature would have been in a stronger position to argue that they should have the authority to approve the spending if the funds were all state funds. But he noted that the funds at the issue were entirely federal funds appointed by Congress through the recently passed CARES Act, and wrote that the lawmakers have no cogently explained how the expenditure of the funds by Sununu will cause any harm, direct or indirect, to any individual who pays state taxes. Sununu praised the ruling and legal team that represented him. He said, "I would like to thank Judge Anderson for issuing this order under Amu's time constants," the governor said in a statement. Solicitor General Dan Will and the team at the Department of Justice did a fantastic job arguing this case in this unprecedented public health emergency. It is paramount that we get relief out to New Hampshire families fast, and that is what I am determined to do. The four lawmakers who sued, all Democrats, are Senate President Donna Soucy, House Speaker Steve Shitloff, Legislative Fiscal Committee Chair Rep. Mary Jane Wallner and Fiscal Committee Vice Chair Senate Lou D'Alessandro. They issued a joint statement after the ruling was issued. We respectfully disagree with the court's ruling. The legislature consistently holds the powers of the pursuit, and the Joint Fiscal Committee is the body that legally approves purposed spending requests by the executive branch during an emergency. This lawsuit is ultimately about the dispute between two equal branches of government, and it is appropriate for the third conquill branch of government to settle this disagreement in a timely manner, so critical relief to the Granite State is not delayed. Knowing that time of this essence, it is discouraging that instead of arguing this case on the merits, Governor Sununu continues to put up technical roadblocks on this issue and continues to allow a cloud of constitutional uncertainty to proceed over how more than $1 billion in federal aid is properly provided to our communities. The legislators are now expected to consider whether to allow the ruling to stand without a further challenge or to appeal. Another possible scenario that would have the legislator as a whole file a new suit, possibly in Merrimack County Superior Court in Concord. The legislators are mindful of the court of public opinion as well. A new University of New Hampshire Survey Center poll Wednesday showed that 89% of Granite Staters, including 86% of Democrats, approve of Sununu's handling of the crisis. Top GOP lawmakers supported the ruling and the governor's alternate spending authority. It is critical for the governor, Sununu, to be able to react quickly during the current pandemic to make the best decisions for New Hampshire, said Senate Jed Bradley. It is disappointing that my Democrat colleagues put partisanship above the people of New Hampshire by filing this lawsuit. I hope we can now move past this issue and continue to get the people in business of New Hampshire the relief they need. And that does it for this evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this evening news report. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow with more news reports. Good night and bye, everyone.